Hiring process steps in the modern business world. The hiring process is lengthy and thorough, but if you do it correctly, you will find and hire high-quality candidates who will stick around and represent your company as you desire. If you don't have experience in human resources, as many small business owners do, you might need to know where to start with hiring. In this episode, we will talk about steps of hiring process in a modern business world. For more episodes, please subscribe and like our channel and press the bell icon for notifications. An effective and efficient recruiting process is a series of steps taken by a business to determine its talent needs, attract and evaluate potential candidates, and ultimately select the best hires. These days, most businesses have procedures for finding and employing new employees. Whether you're making your first hire or thousands, you should have a well-defined recruiting and onboarding process. It will become more streamlined as you gain hiring experience and adjust your standards and operating procedures accordingly. Take these steps with a new hire to prepare your company for the new employee. The hiring process to follow. Identify the necessity for recruiting. The hiring process begins with the identification of an organization's needs. This need could involve filling vacant posts, improving team workload management, or expanding the scope of organizational tasks. In other words, posting or either newly created or recently vacated, devise a recruitment plan. Once a business determines a job requirement, recruitment should commence. In the case of newly created position, businesses must specify how the new role corresponds with their objectives and business strategies. At each stage of the hiring process, organizations should also keep relevant internal teams and employees informed about the new role. All parties involved in the hiring decision must agree on the process, steps, and communication channels. Write a job description. The hiring team should begin by creating a job description with a prioritized list of job requirements, specific qualities, desired characteristics, and required experience. In addition, the job description should include salary and benefits information. Advertise the vacancy. Internal candidate identification is the starting point for a search for highly qualified candidates. Therefore, begin by notifying current staff about the vacancy. You may discontinue job advertising if you are committed to filling the position internally. However, if you are interested in internal candidates, you should mention this in your internal notification. Publicity will likely involve a combination of the company website and social media platforms, job posting, sites such as LinkedIn, industry journals, and local newspaper ads. Recruit for the post. Beyond conventional job posting, the hiring team should reach out to attract individuals directly through LinkedIn, social media, and job fairs. Active recruitment will produce applications from possible individuals who are not actively seeking for employment, but who may be ideal for the open position. Examine applicants. Your organization probably has a method for receiving applications, such as email or an applicant tracking system, ATSs. In many instances, the evaluation begins with human resources professionals evaluating the application and eliminating candidates who do not satisfy the basic standard for the position or the organization. In other situations, the hiring team or manager may analyze each applicant individually. Once a pool of qualified applicants has been compiled, the hiring team should evaluate the remaining candidates and then select those for interview. Telephone screening, initial screening. Typically, initial interviews begin with phone calls to HR representative. Phone interviews aim to ascertain whether a candidate possesses the required qualification and aligns with the organization's culture and value. In addition, phone interviews allow companies to further narrow down their candidate pool with minimal expenditure of corporate resources. Interview. Depending on the size of the business and the hiring committee, one or multiple interviews are planned for the remaining candidates. Typically, initial interviews consist on one-on-one meeting between the applicant and the hiring manager. Early interviews often focus on the experience, talent, job history, and availability of applicants. The hiring committee may conduct additional interviews with management, staff executives, and other company members, either individually or in a group. Additional interviews are more in-depth. For instance, interviews between a candidate and multiple members of the hiring team. Each member of the hiring team focus on a specific topic or aspect of the job to avoid redundancy and ensure in-depth conversation about the role and the candidate qualifications and experience. Final interview frequently involve conversation with the company's top leadership or more in-depth in discussion with an earlier interview. Rarely the final interviews extend to more than a handful of top applicants. Applicant assessment. After or during the completion of the interview, companies frequently administer one or more standardized exams to applicants. These examinations assess a vast array of characteristics, including personality traits, problem-solving abilities, logic, reading comprehension, and emotional intelligence. Background examination. All applicants will be subject to a background check, as stated in the initial job posting. Background check examines the criminal background of candidates, verify their employment history and eligibility, and do credit checks. Some companies also examine social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, etc., to ensure prospective workers are likely to represent the company professionally. Based on the position, drug testing may also be necessary. Final decision. After doing background check by checking references, the hiring team picks the best candidate for the position. If the final applicant declines the offer or talks fails to result in a signed offer letter, the hiring team should also identify a backup candidate. If no candidate meets the recruiting requirements, the hiring team must decide whether or not to restart the process. If this is the case, the hiring team should debate whether or not to tweak or alter the selection procedure to attract more qualified individuals. Reference checking. Reference checks should verify any essential information provided by the candidate regarding former employment, including job performance, experience, and responsibilities. For example, a typical reference question is, would you hire this person again? Job proposal. After identifying top applicant, the organization should extend an initial offer. The offer letter should mention the position's salary, benefits, paid time off, start date, potential severance pay, remote working policy, including business equipment, and other employment stipulation. Expect negotiation to follow. Consequently, the hiring team should determine internally which components of the offer letter are negotiable and which are not. It is common for terms such as compensation, flexible schedule, and remote work to be negotiated. Hiring. After talks, the candidate is hired if he accepts the job offer. An accepted job offer initiates the process of completing and filing employment-related documentation. Onboarding. The hiring process does not conclude with the employment of a new employee. Including your new employee in a kind and professional manner can facilitate their integration and lay the framework for a long-term, fruitful connection with your firm. A welcome letter is highly recommended. Then relevant management should contact the employee before their start date to extend a warm welcome. Consider assigning your new employee a mentor, which will assist them in setting into a new role and organization and set them up for long-term success and growth. Organizational success requires careful attention to the hiring process. Developing and sticking to a consistent hiring plan will increase your chances of finding the best candidate and give you insight into your process in case you ever want to fine-tune it. That's all for today's episode. If you have any questions about this episode, please feel free to write it in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and give this episode a thumbs up. It will allow the algorithm to promote our channel. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.